I'm sure there was a time where you decided to play a game that had a bad rep. Either you didn't believe the game could be bad as people say, or you simply had to experience it yourself. Then, as it turns out, the game in question wasn't so bad after all. That is exactly the situation we have here with Adventures of Dr. Franken. Frankie and his girlfriend Bitsy, both of whom are Frankenstein top monsters, plan a romantic trip to New York City. Unfortunately, Frankie's girlfriend doesn't have a passport. What's one to do? The only sensible thing, of course. Frankie dismantles Bitsy and mails her body parts to New York City. Brilliant. However, the Transylvanian post office goofs and sends Bitsy's body parts to all sections of the globe. Now, through 20 stages spanning the world, Frankie must collect pieces of Bitsy and put her back together again. Things guys do for love, right? It's the controls in this game that will keep most players at bay. The kicking function specifically. They're unconventional, to say the least. I realize more than a few people who have played this game have given up early due to the seemingly frustrating controls. I was in that camp when I first began playing. All too often, I would be facing right and use the Y button to attack the oncoming foe, or vice versa, facing the left and using the A button, only to see Frankie turn his back on the approaching danger and kick the other way. At this point, I was agreeing with the masses. This game sucks! However, for those who have patience, for example, video game reviewers and hardcore gamers, once you become accustomed to the weird controls, this is where the fun commences. After several playthroughs, my brain became in tune with the control scheme. There came a time where the controls became second nature and I was deadly controlling Frankie. That being said, this game must be knocked for its awkward control setup. Many people turned away from this game for controls alone, and that can't be understated. Once the control issues are no longer a problem though, we can focus on the actual gameplay. And gameplay is quite good. It's a side-scroller with puzzle elements. Each level has a timer, and the goal is to locate and collect 4 sections of a parcel and reach the exit before time runs out. This can be tricky because the majority of the stages are one big giant maze. You must maneuver and figure out this maze, defeat or avoid the enemies, find the 4 parcel pieces, and locate the exit before time runs out. For me, the fun comes in exploring the stages and making a plan as to which sequence I will collect the 4 pieces and escape the stage. The game is about exploration, time management, puzzle solving skills, and yes, trial and error. There are 20 stages to traverse in all. However, 4 of these stages are bonus, and I use this word reluctantly, stages where there are no enemies, only power-ups and extra lives. Here's the thing about these so-called bonus stages. You lose actual lives if you die in them. Even though there are little to no enemies, there's lots of pits and a shortened time limit to contend with. That is why I try to get to the exit as quickly as possible, because these stages are more trouble than they are worth. Be forewarned. The level locales range from a mansion, docks, spooky forests, Mayan temples, train stations, caverns, and old world Japan. Several stage backdrops are recycled throughout the game. Instead, each of the 20 stages have their own distinct look. To me, this was seen as lazy design, or the developers were pressed for time. Either way, I did not like this aspect. There are power-ups in this game that ease the journey for Frankie. Firstly, there are 1-ups. Almost every stage has at least one of these Frankie 1-up downs. Every 200,000 points, you receive an extra life also. The plethora of chances to attain extra lives makes the game much more bearable than it would be otherwise. Secondly, Frankie can replenish his life bar via the use of batteries. The big battery will cover 3 bars, and the small one will refill 1 bar. These batteries are in ample supply either by defeating enemies or fighting them throughout the levels. I found by using a somersault kick was more likely to get a big battery from a falling enemy, for your information. Finally, other power-ups in the game include Smart Bomb Barrels. Collecting these barrels will allow you to execute the Hadouken fireball attack. The P icon gives you 5,000 points. The shield icon allows for 30 seconds of invincibility. The super jump sneaker permits Frankie to achieve super jumps for one level. An aspect of the game I like is the ability to choose which stage to tackle first. Once you complete the initial stage, the map screen branches off into two directions. From here on, you have a choice of selecting which stage you would like to finish next. Though in the end, all 20 stages must be completed to beat the game. There's not much in the way of options. There is a sound test and an option for 2 players in the original Super Mario Bros. Style. There's no password system or battery backup. You must beat the game beginning to end in one sitting with no continues. What first caught my eye when I started playing this game is how big and detailed Frankie and the enemy sprites are. Also of note is the creativity in the backgrounds. Touches such as creepy eyes peering out of a toilet, and ominous trees moving their eyes eerily to and fro set the gothic tone the game tries to convey. Even Frankie's death animation is a little unnerving the first few times I saw it. As with many Super Nintendo games, extra detail went into the background landscapes, and they are very much appreciated. The music is very good as well. They aren't spooky or evil sounding, but rather upbeat and get you pumped for action. Tunes do get recycled throughout the game, however. I wish each stage had its own unique score. Unfortunately, the sound effects are nothing to write home about, but the little that you get serve their purpose. My final thoughts for this. My first impressions weren't very good. If I played it for only a couple hours and did a review on it, I would have given it a bad score. However, I stuck with it and I found an enjoyable game here. There are no bosses, instead choosing to focus on exploration and problem solving. The biggest negative this game has is the unusual controls. The majority of people will be turned off by them. Other issues are the enemies return after you defeat them, which is a pet peeve of mine, and reused level designs. If you stick around long enough to master the controls, you will find a good side scroller that forces you to think. Thank you for watching, and please read the full review at playingwithsuperpower.com. Bye bye.